We have to look for new things. I had decided last year would be my last season with Sporting. I had already talked to the president, and this year, in a formal meeting, I said it. That was my decision. I felt that sometimes we have to change.
Erik ten Hag has been shown the door, and while that might be music to the ears of some Manchester United fans, the rest of the Premier League should be on edge. Why? Because the man taking over is none other than Ruben Amorim, a tactical mastermind and serial winner who could turn United into a force no one wants to face.
How is he going to make that jump? How is he going to handle it?
Well, I know that the Portuguese league is not compared with the Premier League, but I think he's made some proofs in the Champions League, in the Europa League last year. So I think he's going to be too difficult. Can't be imagined Manchester United is going to win the title this year.
This season, there's one question every rival should be asking. How are they going to handle Ruben Amorim's United? Or would he be another Ten Hag? Well, I don't think so. Well, let's get into it. But before we do, let's talk about why Erik ten Hag failed at Manchester United. Erik ten Hag's run with Manchester United has been full of ups and downs. When he first walked into Old Trafford, there was this buzz, right? Fans were thinking, finally, this could be the guy to bring us back to the glory days. There was optimism, the belief that maybe, just maybe, he'd be the one to revive United's iconic legacy. And let's be real, there were some pretty awesome moments under his belt that had us convinced he could do it. Remember that victory against Liverpool? That game had Old Trafford buzzing. Or that fantastic performance against Manchester City in the FA Cup final. There were glimpses of hope that maybe Erik ten Hag was the guy to pull it all together. We saw some spark in those games, something that hinted at the old Manchester United flair. But here's the thing, as the month rolled on, cracks started to show. And not just small cracks, we're talking big, glaring tactical issues. United's playstyle started looking a bit, well, lost. One of the biggest frustrations? There was no consistency. It's like one week we'd see a solid pressing game, and the next week it was as if they'd forgotten how to press altogether. The first pressing shape was a mess. It changed every game, almost as if United didn't know what to expect from themselves, let alone their opponents, and it just gave the opposition way too much space. Offensively, it didn't get any better. It was predictable, almost too easy to counter. Defenses started figuring us out way too quickly, and suddenly we weren't a threat up front anymore. So why was Ten Hag struggling to find that consistency? Was it the players? Were they just not making the right moves? Or was it his tactics that didn't quite fit with the squad? Well, these questions became louder, especially with disappointing results stacking up. Then there was the defense. Yikes. It felt like watching an open door policy for the opposition. United started conceding way too many chances, ending up ranked 14th in the Premier League for expected goals conceded per game. And the worst part? We were dead last for expected goals conceded per shot. Opponents were waltzing through our defense, creating high-quality chances left and right. In one game against Spurs, we tried a 4-4-2 defensive structure to keep things tight. On paper, it seemed logical, especially given Spurs' tactics, but on the pitch? It didn't work. Spurs figured us out, stretched our lines, and completely outmaneuvered our press. It was frustrating to watch, seeing United's press torn apart so easily. And when they pushed the ball back to the keeper, we got sucked in even more, creating huge gaps in behind. It's not ideal, right? Now, Ten Hag's system wasn't all bad. The idea was there, but the execution, well, not so much. Our players couldn't keep up with the positional requirements, and instead of covering for each other, they were leaving each other to fend for themselves. That lack of unity on the pitch was painfully obvious. We were too spread out, and the players looked disconnected. So yeah, Ten Hag came in with big promises and high hopes, but somewhere along the way, it just didn't click. The inconsistency, the lack of a clear, cohesive strategy, and the disconnection on the pitch made things unravel. In the end, it was clear that while he had his moments, he wasn't the one to bring United back to those legendary glory days. But this time around, there seems to be a better coach who could take Manchester United to the top. His name is Ruben Amorim. This guy isn't just your average coach. He's one of those rare football minds turning heads across Europe. Ruben Amorim is one of the most exciting young managers in football today. His playing days might have been solid but relatively low-key compared to his managerial hype. When he stepped into coaching though, he caught everyone's attention almost immediately. Starting with a modest stint at Braga, he took the B team and transformed them in ways no one expected. And when he got promoted to manage Braga's first team, boom! He went on to win the Taça da Liga, the Portuguese League Cup, with them. Not a bad way to make your coaching debut, right? But Sporting Lisbon is where he's made his name. With Sporting, Amorim didn't just bring trophies, he brought a whole new style. Since taking over, he's led them to multiple domestic titles, including the Primeira Liga, breaking an almost 20-year drought for Sporting. This was huge. He's effectively turned them from underdogs into genuine contenders in Portuguese football, and it's no wonder people are saying he's ready for a move to the big leagues. Now, if you watched Sporting last season, you've probably noticed they're scoring for fun. Amorim had them playing this ultra-offensive possession football that is anything but predictable. Sporting attack with 5 or 6 players always hovering around the defensive line, keeping defenders guessing. And it's not just a basic push forward and hope for the best approach. Amorim has crafted a system that blends structure with freedom, letting players flow into new positions and create spontaneous combinations that have defenders scrambling. What's impressive is how flexible his tactics are. On paper, Sporting line up in a 3-4-3, but that shifts constantly based on where they are on the pitch and who they're up against. In build-up play, for instance, you'll see one centre-back step into midfield, creating a back 4 rotation that opens passing lanes. Against teams with a zonal press, like Benfica, Sporting's rotations and positioning give them a man advantage, forcing the opposition to push forward and leaving gaps for Sporting's midfield and strikers to exploit. So why does this system work so well? Well, before I talk about that, can you please subscribe to the channel? We're trying to be one of the best on here, so I'd appreciate it if you did that. Thank you. Now back to the video. Well, the way Sporting uses wingbacks is a big part of it. They're almost decoys, drawing defenders out wide, which opens up spaces centrally for short, quick passes into dangerous areas. And when they get into the final third, it's all about overloads. They have 2 or even 3 players in each half space, which makes it nearly impossible for defenders to mark everyone. It's a constant, high-energy rotation that keeps Sporting's attacks fluid and keeps defenders guessing. The striker, Victor Gyökeres, has been crucial in making all this work. This guy isn't just scoring, he's creating too. With over 22 goals and 10 assists last season, his movement around the box is electric, constantly making runs into channels and drawing defenders out of position, which then opens up opportunities for others. Sporting's whole system is designed to get the ball to Yars, either with cutbacks or quick passes into the box, where he's lethal. This guy's been a nightmare for defenders. It's this blend of discipline and creativity that's made Sporting so dangerous. It's as if Amorim has given his players a playground with a few rules and let them make magic happen within those boundaries. And while they might have been knocked out of the Europa League by Atalanta, don't think for a second that means Amorim's system isn't working. It just shows there's still room to grow. But how would he set up Manchester United in bid to take over the league? Starting from the back, Andre Onana will be in goal, and Amorim will love his comfort on the ball. Onana can build from the back, and that's ideal because Amorim's system thrives on keepers who can kickstart the play as if they were extra defenders. Now, the back 3 is all about spreading wide and moving forward. Amorim loves wider centre-backs to have good technical skill, quick touches under pressure, and the ability to carry the ball upfield. So Lisandro Martinez on the left makes sense since he's comfortable with the ball and reads the game well. On the right, we could see someone like Lenny Yoro, with Matthias de Ligt as the anchor in the middle to add some stability. This setup isn't just about staying solid at the back, it's about launching attacks quickly and putting pressure on opponents right away. In midfield, we have Manuel Ugarte, who worked with Amorim before and knows how to break up play and control the tempo. He'll be a ball winner, pressing high and shutting down spaces. Next to him, Amorim typically wants a connector, someone who links defense to attack, keeping the play flowing. This could be Kobbie Mainoo, bringing energy and box-to-box capability, or Christian Eriksen, who can distribute the ball and pick out clever passes to advance play. Up front, things get exciting. Amorim loves a channel striker, someone who attacks the spaces out wide. Rasmus Højlund is perfect for that, as he's quick, physical, and will keep defenders on their toes. In a 3-4-3, the wide roles get creative. Amorim has used both traditional wingbacks and wingers depending on the situation. For United, Diogo Dalot or Mazraoui might start on the right as solid defenders who can also push forward. Or we might see Amad Diallo there, adding flair and attacking momentum. On the left, it's trickier. Luke Shaw is an option if he's fit and ready, providing some defensive stability while moving forward. But we could also see Alejandro Garnacho take on the role. Garnacho would bring speed and the ability to stretch the opposition, working his way up and down that wing. As for the inside forward roles, this is where Amorim likes some flexibility. Bruno Fernandes could play as an advanced midfielder on the right, drifting between midfield and attack to create chances and overload in the key areas. On the left, Marcus Rashford might take on a similar role, timing his runs to cut inside and using his speed to exploit gaps in the defense. Amorim's system is all about adaptability. And with the versatility of United's squad, we might see some surprising variations, depending on the opponent. But this 3-4-3 setup could bring out United's attacking strengths and give them a fresh edge going forward. But as good as the system is, there seem to be some flaws about this 3-4-3 system for Manchester United. On paper, it is good, but this is the Premier League, and a lot of teams would figure out how to stop Manchester United. One of the biggest issues? The space left in the wide areas. With wing-backs pushing high up to create width and pull defenders out, gaps naturally form along the flanks. And for opponents, that's an open invitation to sit back, stay compact, and wait to hit United on the counter. Now, for a team like United that's still working on building cohesion at the back, counter-attacking is a real worry. We've got Licha Martinez, who's an absolute warrior in the backline, reading plays and closing spaces like a pro. But even he could get burned defending those channels against speedy, crafty wingers, or forwards who are lurking ready to pounce. When Martinez drifts wide, he leaves a gap, and in those moments, it's easy for fast-paced teams to flood that open space and put pressure on De Ligt and Yoro, who are left to scramble in the center. As for De Ligt and Yoro, they're solid defenders and they'll bring some stability. De Ligt is experienced, calm, and has the strength to handle physical challenges, so he'll help plug some of those gaps in the middle. But if the ball is out wide and Martinez gets dragged forward, it's still a lot to ask of De Ligt to cover that space in behind. Yoro, being younger, is still learning the ropes of this kind of defensive setup and might get caught out by clever off-the-ball movements from attackers. And then there's the matter of players fitting the style of play. A lot of United's squad wasn't exactly built for this system. For instance, Antony, Garnacho, and Xerxes, players who are used to being a bit higher up the pitch in attacking positions, might find themselves squeezed out or forced into unfamiliar roles. Antony thrives as an out-and-out winger, but in this setup, he may have to play as an inside forward or even a wing-back, which could limit his impact. Garnacho, with his youthful energy and natural attacking instincts, might not get as much freedom in this system either. And for Xerxes, well, he's a target man striker who relies on service in the box, and in a 3-4-3, the striker is more about creating space and attacking channels, which doesn't play to his strengths. So while Amorim's 3-4-3 is aggressive and dynamic, it requires a level of tactical discipline and a different skill set than some of these United players are used to. It's going to be interesting to see how Amorim handles that balance and whether he'll make adjustments or if the squad will have to adapt to his vision. But Manchester United should have fears because they have a great coach now. I mean, a man who delivered Sporting from a 20-year drought can do better, and since he is an adamant coach who wants to stick to his philosophy and style of play, I think he'll flourish here. What do you think? Can he take Manchester United to the next level? Or is he just another Ten Hag? Well, we can't wait to see. And while you wait, check out this video on how Arteta's new plan is changing his team. Thank you.